name is Mark Klinski, and I really want a t-shirt, an IndyCog t-shirt, so that's why I'm up here. So I was thinking about all the stories and memories that I have about bikes, and all of them, most of the bikes that I've had my entire life were provided for me by my dad. And so thinking about biking really brings a lot of my relationship with my dad into the picture. I remember my first bike was this blue bike that my dad and I went to Coslow Bike Shop, which is in the western suburbs of Chicago, which is where I'm from. We would go down to this bike shop. He got me this bike, and I'm pretty sure this is the one that I started off with the training wheels on, and then, you know, the training wheels go up a little bit higher as you get a little bit more confidence in yourself, and then you fall over, and then they go back down a little bit. You know, I, like most boys, wanted my dad to be proud of me. I mean, what kid does not, right? And not unlike a lot of other kids growing up in today's world, I also didn't necessarily have the best relationship with my dad. So having his approval, having his affirmation was a huge thing for me. So this blue bike that my dad got for me at Coslow Bike Shop, I didn't want to fall, because every time I fell over, like, he would get mad, you know, he would be upset. So, like, if I fell over on my bike, I wanted my mom to see me, because she was always, you know, the caring one. Oh, honey, come here. You know, my dad would be like, why are you falling over all the time? And I'm like, Dad, I'm 7, you know. Look at me, kid. So my dad had a little bit of a temper. You know, I'm a Polish American, had Polish temper. I don't know if you guys know what that's like, but it's, imagine Irish temper, but it's worse. It's Polish. So this blue bike was my first bike that I had. When I was 10, my family moved up to central Wisconsin. We lived on 11 beautiful acres, wooded acres in the middle of the state. And my second bike that I remember, my dad also provided for me. It was this Huffy mountain bike from Walmart. It cost like $100. I remember loving this bike. This was the bike that I could take, you know, out into the woods, on some of the trails. I could go explore. This is when, you know, we lived out in the woods, so my parents would let me go that 7 miles from the house. Or at least they didn't know I was going 7 miles from the house, so they didn't know about it. But this was my second bike. I loved it. I would explore, and that's, you know, that bike was when I really felt like I had my own freedom. And times when my parents would yell at me, times when my dad would be upset with me, I could take this bike that my dad provided for me, and I could go and kind of be at my own and have peace, and even know that even though he was upset with me, he still provided me a way with this bike to be able to escape and have my own space and be able to work through stuff. So that was my second bike. Now, between my second and my third bike, something pretty bad happened. I went to college, and my dad passed away after my first year in college. He died of heart failure at age 48. I was 18. So that's, you know, the loss of a parent when you're a kid, when you're 18, that's pretty hard, especially when you're not necessarily as close with that parent. So that really hurt. There was a lot of unfinished business I feel like I had with my dad, you know, and trying to seek his approval, trying to have his affirmation that I didn't have. And certainly those desires of wanting to have approval and affirmation were, that was something that I saw in my other relationships in life too, with friends and whatnot. So anyways, my dad passes away when I'm 18, and I get a little life insurance money, and one of the things that I buy with that life insurance money is a new mountain bike. This one's a Haro mountain bike. Haro makes a lot of off-road bikes. They also make mountain bikes. So I got this one on the recommendation of my sister's husband, and I love this bike. I had this bike in college. I would ride it from class to dorm and all over campus. And one of the things that I did after my dad's death to help cope through things was I started getting into running. I ended up running the Chicago Marathon. I also did a triathlon in Wisconsin. And I used this bike to ride this triathlon. And that was a huge accomplishment for me. I'd never done anything really athletic like that in my life. And then I also took this bike my junior year for one of the most memorable experiences in my life. I went on this mountain biking and rock climbing trip at my college. All the students in my college had to take a fitness class, a 1-credit fitness class. You could have done something like racquetball or basketball or swimming at the school, or you could have taken like an extended fall break trip. And so I went on this trip, also to northern Wisconsin. We did mountain biking and rock climbing. And on this trip, I met some of the best friends that I've had my entire life. I took this bike, this Haro bike that I loved, again provided for me by my dad posthumously. I took this bike on this trip and had this incredible time climbing and biking with friends in northern Wisconsin. And for one of the first times in my life, really feeling accepted by a group of people in a really fundamental way. So in a sense, my dad was kind of there smiling on me in the same way that he was still smiling on me when I was a kid, falling over on that blue bike, even with his stern finger pointing at me, wanting me to get back up and ride again. Thank you.